Every 4 years, billions of people stop what they're doing and watch one tournament. The FIFA World Cup. The biggest event in football. The biggest stage in sports. But as we head toward the 2026 World Cup, one question keeps coming up: who can actually win it? Not who people want to win. Not who has the biggest fan base. Not who has the coolest jerseys. Who genuinely has a realistic chance of lifting the trophy. Because here's a surprising fact: out of more than 20 World Cups in history, only 8 countries have ever won the tournament. That's it. More than 80 years of competition. Only 8 champions. Which means winning the World Cup is much harder than most people realize. And in this video, we're going to break down the teams that truly have a chance in 2026, the dark horses that could shock the world, and the one thing every World Cup winner usually has in common. Let's find out. First, we need to understand something. The best team on earth doesn't always win the World Cup. That sounds strange, but it's true. The World Cup is not a league season. You don't have months to recover from mistakes. One bad game, one unlucky penalty, one red card, and you're going home. That's why predicting a World Cup winner is so difficult. Now let's start with the team most people immediately think about. Argentina, the defending world champions. In 2022, Argentina finally achieved football immortality. Led by Lionel Messi, they defeated France in what many people consider the greatest World Cup final ever played. But here's the challenge. The 2026 World Cup will be very different. Messi will be older. Many of Argentina's key players will be approaching the later stages of their careers. However, Argentina still has something incredibly valuable: winning experience. When pressure reaches its highest level, experience often becomes the difference between winning and losing. So yes, Argentina absolutely has a chance. But repeating as champions is one of the hardest achievements in sports. In fact, no team has successfully defended a World Cup title since Brazil in 1962. Now let's talk about Brazil, the country most people associate with football itself. Brazil has won the World Cup 5 times, more than anyone else. Their history is legendary. Their style is famous. And somehow, despite producing superstar after superstar, they haven't won a World Cup since 2002. That's over 2 decades. For a nation obsessed with football, that's a very long wait. But here's why Brazil remains dangerous. Talent. Every generation seems to produce another wave of elite players. Fast attackers, creative midfielders, athletic defenders. Brazil never struggles to find talent. The real question is whether they can turn individual brilliance into a complete team. Because World Cups are rarely won by collections of stars. They're won by balanced teams. And if Brazil finds that balance, they can beat anyone. Now let's move to Europe. And we have to start with France. If there is one country that consistently produces world-class players everywhere on the field, it might be France. Goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, strikers. France always seems loaded. Here's an incredible statistic. France reached the World Cup final in 2018, then reached the final again in 2022. Back-to-back finals. That's unbelievably difficult. Most countries dream of reaching one final. France reached 2 in a row, and many of their key players are still in their prime years. That's why many experts already consider France one of the favorites for 2026. They have talent, depth, experience, and perhaps most importantly, they know how to win knockout games. And speaking of Europe, we need to talk about England. Every tournament begins with massive expectations. Every tournament brings enormous pressure. And every tournament seems to come with one question: can England finally end the wait? England has not won a World Cup since 1966. Think about how long ago that was. Humans landed on the moon after England's last World Cup title. Yet despite that drought, England continues producing outstanding players. The squad is talented. The depth is impressive. And recent tournaments have shown signs of progress. But talent alone isn't enough. The challenge for England has often been handling the pressure that comes with representing a football-mad nation. Now here's where things get interesting. What about Spain? Spain once dominated world football. They won the 2010 World Cup and changed how many teams played the game. For years, opponents struggled just to touch the ball. Today, Spain is building a new generation. Young stars, technical players, fearless football. And there's something dangerous about young teams. They don't always know what they're supposed to fear. That freedom can be powerful. But wait, what about Germany? Never count out Germany. Seriously, never. Even after disappointing tournaments, Germany somehow finds ways to rebuild. Historically, they are one of the most successful World Cup nations ever. And while recent years haven't gone according to plan, writing off Germany has burned football fans many times before. The scary part: Germany often becomes stronger when expectations are lower. Now let's talk about the country hosting alongside Mexico and Canada, the United States. And this is where many casual fans get surprised. The United States probably isn't the favorite, but they're stronger than many people think. Football in America has grown massively. More players, better development, more experience in top leagues around the world. And home support matters. History shows that host nations often perform better than expected. Could the United States win the World Cup? It would still be a huge surprise. But reaching the later stages, that's becoming increasingly realistic. And then we have the dark horses, the teams nobody talks about enough: Portugal, the Netherlands, Croatia, Belgium, Morocco, maybe even a surprise nation we aren't expecting yet. Here's something fascinating. Every World Cup seems to produce at least one team that shocks everyone. In 2022, Morocco became the first African nation ever to reach a World Cup semifinal. Very few people predicted that. That's why dark horses matter. The World Cup is too unpredictable to focus only on the traditional giants. Now let's answer the biggest question. What does a World Cup winner usually need? It's actually simpler than many people think. Great attack, solid defense, strong squad depth, a little luck, and perfect timing. Notice something. You need more than superstar players. You need a complete team. Football history is full of talented teams that failed because they relied on individuals. World Cup champions usually win because every piece fits together at exactly the right moment. So who can actually win the 2026 World Cup? Argentina can. Brazil can. France can. England can. Spain can. Germany can. And a few dark horses are capable of shocking the world. But if we're talking about the strongest overall contenders right now, France, Brazil, and Argentina probably sit at the very top of the list. Of course, football has a habit of making predictions look foolish. That's why we watch. Because no matter how much analysis we do, once the tournament starts, anything can happen. A giant can fall. An underdog can rise. A single moment can change history. And somewhere in 2026, one nation will create memories that last forever. The only question is, whose name will be written on the trophy? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe because we'll be breaking down everything you need to know about the 2026 World Cup. And until then, remember this: the World Cup isn't just about finding the best team. It's about finding the team that can be the best when the entire world is watching.